sensation in that you're recording right now, aren't you? Yeah. Minor YouTube sensation out of his own bedroom, basically. Office, what you will. There is a British boy band called Road Trip that has a very, very, we were talking about it earlier, a very strong fan base, small but strong fan base, and he...
The joke there, small but strong. Oh my God. Go ahead.
on a whim, on a lark, he saw one or two of their videos, did reaction videos to them, got feedback. Hey, you should do this video from them, or hey, you should do that video from them, and he did. And surely they caught wind that this guy is doing reaction videos, and people really seem to like it because they were telling him, hey, this guy does reaction videos and we really seem to like it. You should pay attention because he's upping your brand. Mm-hmm. So they contacted him. Hey, thanks for reaching out and doing the thing. And he was like, wow, okay. And so they are friends now. And they invited him to come to London to their concert and met him and cooked him, made him a proper cup of tea. And so he's actually making money doing and merchandising.
I love that in that story you were required to say, and made him a proper cup of tea.
Well, because he brings that up. He's like, I thought I had tea before. I go, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
The British invented tea. No.
Well, I met a girl at an art showing, and I guess we kind of hit it off, and she was one of the artists. But she offered me some of the tea she had in a thermos. I'm going, yeah, sure, I guess I'll try it. And as I'm about to try it, she explains to it that it was tea specifically she imported from her family's land in Ireland. And there was nothing in it. And it's still the best tea I ever had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because I never realized that Lipton is crap.
For a second it sounded like you said Twinings is crap. Twinings tea is crap.
All American tea is crap.
Yeah.
Chamomile, all of it. They're grown here for something about American soil that makes tea crap.
It's true. As a tea drinker, you're right.
I have no idea what it is, but...
anyway, I'm sorry. You had a question for us, yes.
Yes. The question before we go on the...
Anyway, I thought of another thing. No, kidding. No, please.
No. Since we're reminiscing, you guys were involved in a couple of shows at College of the Mainland years ago. Yeah. Can you talk about that?
Like on the stage?
On the stage. You guys sometimes backstage.
I don't know anyone else that was involved in it other than just you and I, really.
Yeah, just you and I.
In the morning and the evening and the next
You're making that up.
Okay, I made that part up.
Where's Alex when you need him? You can't do the Light FM with me. Light AM with me.
Summer breeze makes me feel fine. Flowing through the jasmine in my mind. Wow, down.
I like the type of...
Sorry, you had a question for us.
Yes.
I want to live with a cinnamon girl. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm thinking typo negative now. We got to keep moving.
Oh, God.
Memories of College of the Mainland.
Yeah. Memories of College.
Well, we were originally talking about... let's narrow that.
Yeah.
Let's face it. We peaked in those 2 years.
Yes.
That's and awful, but it's true.
There are several different kinds of memories, too, like visions of things like Kendra. Back in the... Yeah. Anyway.
The weird thing is, the memory of Kendra's kind of cartoonish in my head now.
You tell that. Like,
all right.
I mean, you don't have to, but I'm just saying. Yeah. And, by the way, we've strayed very far from the question. But we'll get back to it.
This is technically about College of Mainland. It happened there.
Yes, it's true.
We started hanging out, and it was in theater, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
with this blonde, semi-trailer trash train wreck named Kendra. But she was, the best way to put it, the kind of hot that only trailer trash actually accomplishes.
Yeah.
You know, someone
Anna Nicole Smith-ish.
Oh, yeah, that. You know, like, I lust after her, but I'm afraid to put that in her because what'll come out.
Yeah.
There's both that thing we were always looking for: attraction and revulsion, all wrapped in one. But physically, I ain't talking this bad about her. I don't even know.
I don't know. Yeah.
But physically, she was very attractive.
She's a specimen. Yeah.
At one point or another, we're hanging out in the fine arts area.
Yeah.
It's an open area
lobby-esque.
lobby.
sort
Yeah,
of
but
thing.
it's open. There's no doors, but it leads to a number of lesser buildings, and it's right across from the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And we're hiding in there because it's raining. And it's a small group. I remember you and I were there.
Yeah.
John Paul was one of them.
Yeah. Him, at least about 3 other people.
Yeah. But we're standing in line and we're talking, and she comes from the gymnasium running over in not that slinky, but a well form-fitting black dress, mini dress. And so when she comes up running up to us,
Getting out of the rain.
yeah, it's like just stuck to her body. Just form-fittingly stuck to her body. And she's been running, so she comes up a little breathless, and her eyes are dilated, and she's looking puppy dog up to us, just all, wet cleavage. All I remember about is like one enormous wet cleavage. And as she's running up, though, I just reached over and like hit Rodney like this. And he looks up at me and looks over that way and goes the same way and hits John Paul. Another corner of my eye, you see him do the exact same thing. Just down the line to make sure y'all need to see this as she comes in.
Because literally, it was like in slow motion.
Yeah, like I said, the memory is now, it's become cartoonishly over-exaggerated in my mind.
It was that.
I can almost like hear music. And
Yeah. There was that. It was that. There's a name for the shot, but it's like that Steven Spielberg from Jaws shot that was just like.
Oh yeah, the dolly end.
Wait, yeah.
He sees it like that. I see it like as one of those 1940s running on the beach things. Yeah.
Bling, bling, bling,
10.
bling, bling, bling,
American 10.
bling, 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 bling. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the one he steered us towards. It's not that much of a memory.
No, but
it's just the
a
5
visual.
guys drooling over a girl that didn't realize we were doing it.
yeah, in this Me Too movement time frame, it's not a good story.
A
Probably.
lot of our stories.
I'm glad you told it.
Son of a... You could get away with a lot in the 90s.
Yeah. So on to your point about the shows that we did.
Oh, God.
There were 2 shows that a fellow by the name of Cliff Mabry, who's still, according to Fred, working, doing stuff, had us do. We didn't know we were going to do the second one, but the first one actually went over really well. So, of course, they wanted a sequel. First one was called Hello Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hello Hollywood, where it basically, this is the gist of it, but basically it was clips from different Hollywood movies. I don't want to say classic ones, but different Hollywood.
Mostly there were.
Yeah. You had some...
There were classics in Cliff's mind.
Yeah.
They were his favorite movies.
You had some Marx Brothers bits, and Abbott and Costello, who's on first bit. You had Monty Python stuff.
Holy Grail, yeah. Troy's moment to shine.
Oh, yeah.
I always play kings, generals, soldiers.
Something with
Being
a
there.
broad chest.
Being
You
there.
played a guy who didn't quite have it all.
He was
Yeah.
not. He was not there.
Wasn't a stretch.
And a Kubrick one. What was the...
I don't remember the good
How I
one.
Learned to Love Your Mother.
Oh,
no,
God.
the Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strange.
Or how it was that your mother was...
And you were
What's
Dr.
it with your mother? I don't want to know how you met your mother.
Yeah, that's
That would have been
right.
a better show. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know your mother.
It's more of a Steinfeld thing.
I was very...
Who played that? He got paid for that. Somebody on bass like bam, bam, bam. But that's it.
I feel like
Give me $20.
I feel like he was caught under pressure. He had a deadline and he had
Oh, damn it, they're coming.
popcorn. That'll do. But yeah, that one, the Dr. Strangelove one was great because I happened to at the time have a wheelchair, and
We had a lot of weird stuff back then. We were horrors.
that was part of the thing of putting on said scenes or things because we had the stuff to do it. They were like considering this, and I was like, I have a wheelchair if you want to do the Dr. Strangelove thing.
Weird sideline. I was in a production, had nothing to do with the College of Mainland. Worst production ever of Macbeth. And you were you in that or were you not? You were not in that. You were at one of the rehearsals.
Did you want to
easily.
be?
because they had nothing. We had no costumes, and we were all trying to do it ourselves. And at one point, the director was like, "Well, does anybody have like any weapons? We need some swords," and she was like that. And I kind of sheepishly saying, "Well, I've got a couple, and I know a guy." Well, how many can you get? 9. And everybody looked at me funny after that one. But yes, with me and one other guy, Troy, behind the camera here, we had 9 swords.
I'm still that guy to this day.
Yeah, you are. I'm not anymore. I lost my collection, but you know.
I have your collection.
So that was beside the point. What were we going?
Wait, about the first play that we did, Hello Hollywood, like that. Basically, it was an experimental play because he had these clips that he wanted us to kind of do. And for all intents and purposes, it was a 3-night gig, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday matinee. I think they charged like $1, maybe $5, something like that.
And that was generous.
Yeah, and I remember. A couple things. I remember the first night. It was primarily all of our friends and family.
Yeah.
Because just supporting.
Yeah.
You know.
And there was no advertising.
And there was no advertising. I remember the prop TV, which had no backing or tube or anything like that. The prop TV that they used for the Being There, the film Being There, Peter Sellers movie, that Troy was the titular Peter Sellers part. I remember that was on, I think, like stage right, behind a curtain, ready to go. This is the first night, mind you. We hadn't started yet. And I remember John Paul, the fellow that we had in acting class, and I was in a band with, I remember he was looking out the curtain at the crowd. And it was a pretty impressive crowd for the first night of this thing. It's friends and family, you know. So I remember him looking out, and then he goes, "Hey, man, come here." And I go, "Yeah." And I go, and he goes, "Look at the crowd, man. Look at this crowd." And we're looking at it, and we were very impressed that it was, man, we're going to put on a great show. There's a big crowd of people like that. And so I turned around, and I started back, and he turned around, and because it's dark, bumped into that TV, which went, and the face of it was just shattered. Just pieces. And he looked at me in the dark, and we both got the fuck out of stage right and went to stage left.
Yeah, we weren't there when that happened.
And I also remember there were these tunnels that got you from one end to the other. Like, I remember scoping around there and seeing Cliff, the director of it, like that, in one of them, just kind of in the dark, just kind of, and I was like, "Are you okay, Cliff?" He's like, "Yeah, a little ritual of mine, just."
Oh.
And I was like, "Okay." And so he was nervous, but yeah, it went off without a hitch. It was really good, and it went off so well that word of mouth happened. And the other 2 nights, it kept building and building with the crowds of it. It was good. It was really good.
Another tangent, but the ritual thing. You get superstitious like that. You start having things you want to do before each performance. And the few times I was actually on stage for normal plays, I had the same thing. I would, for some reason, choose a phrase or something that I would say right before I go out, and there's just something to get psyched up. And at one point, I made this decision, and this thing that I was going to do before I went on stage, it was a production of Christmas Carol. And I'm playing I forget the character's name, but he's the lighthearted boss in one of the flashbacks. So I had to actually be jovial and happy, and those people that know me, that's a real work.
That's acting.
I'm not that way. So I got to get myself going. And this is what I did. And I did it in my practices, but I didn't do it in front of anybody, like when we're lining up to actually go out on there. And the first time, and it's not a performance, it's a rehearsal, but it's a dress rehearsal, it was the first time that anybody actually was standing in line to go out on stage with me. And it was this weird thing. I got up there and took a deep breath, jumped up and down a couple of times to get the blood flowing, and I was going to whisper under my breath to something I'd seen in the movie, "Remember, nobody gets out alive." And that's what I meant to do. Only there was a person behind me. So without realizing, I turned them and locked their eyes and said, "Remember, nobody gets out alive." And turned around and went on stage. Well, I'm supposed to dance with her. And, we get up to that point, and she reluctantly lets me touch her.
I may not
Just
get
on
out
the
alive.
rest of that scene, she was actually worried I was just going to freak out and start murdering people, I think.
You know what? Having said that,
Oh, God, yeah.
to your point about just like the not even rituals, but just to get yourself psyched up in the moment or whatever like that. So the question was about a couple of plays that we did. The second, I guess, basically squeakle to Hello Hollywood was it was called Bring On the Movies. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Something like that. It was Hello Hollywood 2, we'll say. Bring On the Night. No, that's a Sting concert.
Hey.
Oh! Anyway, I remember that Tim McKinney did the sound stuff for us for that. I remember this.
Yeah, which was a boombox.
Yeah, I remember this because there's a story with that too. But I remember this because, just like the first time, like that is friends and family mostly the first. It was a much smaller theater that we were in, still in the same building. It was our classroom, in fact, and so. We again, scenes from different movies and stuff. Blazing Saddles this time.
We're not going into that.
Was one of them.
We're not going into that.
And we used the KKK outfits, by the way.
We did.
And a couple of other things like that. But I remember, first night, getting ready to do it. Everybody's out back of the building, kind of just getting psyched out. We're going to have a great show. We're going to get, And Tim, somebody mentions, I forget who, possibly Troy Fortenberry, mentions that Tim's good at scaling things and climbing. And everybody's like, could you climb the wall? And he's like, I mean, probably. And so they were like, Tim. So he grabs brick and just starts scaling this brick wall up till he gets to the roof of the building. And everybody's like, yeah! It was just the thing we needed to get kind of this, yeah! And then campus security pulls up in a golf cart. And this Barney Fife-esque kind of guy is like, what's he doing up there? What's going on with the gun? And he didn't have a gun. But they were just like, no, he's our sound guy. He's going to be down. And Tim
he's our sound guy. He's supposed to be up there.
He shimmies back down. And they were talking about calling the cops and having him arrested for, like, trespassing or causing a something like that. And we're like, no, we need him. He's the, And so that got ironed out or whatever like that. But I was just like, that could have gone wrong literally minutes before the play.
That was an interesting announcement beforehand. I'm very sorry, but our sound person has been arrested.
For what?
Illegal use of a wall.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of that because, like I said, it was scenes from other movies and stuff. But I remember Cliff had this block. He said, I have this block in the middle of this production, where the next scene is two people that have a big. It's a costume change thing that it's going to take some time, but literally, I don't have anything else for the rest of the cast to do. Can you guys write something or come up with something that we can do?
The Star Trek one.
Hence, Chariots on Fire. It was going to be that.
Yeah, we didn't do the Star Trek.
It was going to be that one. But it turned out the Star Trek bit that we had was really good, and I think it meshed the original show characters and the Next Generation.
They were attacking each other,
and there was very scripted, and then we scaled it back and did this thing we called Chariots on Fire.
Star Trek one needed work. It was a good premise, needed work.
It was a very good premise, but it was just funny to me that Cliff decided to scale it way back to this, for lack of a better word, just thing that just popped into my head to use everybody.
Yeah. And
Chariots on Fire, of course, a parody, name only, of Chariots of Fire, the racing movie from 82 or 81, whatever, where we had Chariots on Fire in that whole entire cast, except for the two people who were getting ready in the back, was the audience, facing the real audience, at this mock race with three of the larger individuals in the cast going from one part of the stage to the other part. Everyone is doing faux slow motion stuff where they're cheering and running in slow motion and stuff like that. And it's all done to the music of Chariots of Fire. That bing, ding, bing, ding, ding, ding. Yeah. So we had a tape of that. we had a tape of that Tim was in the back with the boombox prepping like that. And so basically, I just kind of went to everybody and I just kind of said, whatever character you want to make this, but that person's in the audience like that. And then we had to structure something to get out of it. So we had a fella, David Doe, who was kind of dead center, actually, of the crowd of people, and he was the tallest guy like that. He said he just wanted to look menacing and he wanted to kill people. That's what he told me. And I said, okay, we can figure something out. So what we figured out was he had this fake, it was a toy sword.
No, it was a gun.
It's plastic. Wasn't it plastic? He had a sword and a gun, I thought.
Oh, he did, but he used the gun.
Because I thought he slit your throat. Okay. Well, so he had these toy weapons, basically.
He shot me.
That's right. No, it was both. It was, because yeah. So his whole thing of it was he was standing there, arms crossed, stoic in a trench coat, shades, stoic the entire time. Everybody's ding, 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 going nuts like that. And I think you were next to him and bumped him, which in slow motion bumps him. He gets offended, pulls out a sword, slits your throat, then begins to just peg off people in the crowd around him. Then everybody's going one by one. The three runners, oblivious to this, just going from it, but they have their own sticking feet out in front of and tripping.
That's why I didn't know that. I was one of the runners. Yeah, so me and one other guy, we tangle up and we get to fall in slow motion, which is, for a big guy, a lot funnier to do than to watch, I think.
And then I remember one of the fellows in Dallas.
He won the race.
He won the race, but I remember David Doe taking great joy in him. He won the race. He was the last man standing, and he was like, yeah. And he turned around and David Doe just unloaded on him, and then walked out.
You got to do the slow bullet dance.
Cut to black, and then we moved on to that next thing. Now I remember the first time we did it. We did 3 nights. First time went off without a hitch. Second night we joked before doing it. Man, wouldn't that be weird if the tape messed up? Because that worked out really nice the day before.
Yeah.
I don't know why we did that, because scene opens up, starts to go like that, and I hear bing, ding, 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 and we're all on stage and we're like,
this is frozen for a second. What do we do?
And then we
almost got it going a second time.
And it just does.
And the second one was one of those deaths, like when you're doing your car stereos. Oh, that tape's gone.
And I remember looking out.
I'm going to disassemble this thing to get it out.
I remember looking out into the darkness and seeing Tim go with like tape. I remember that. I looked up and Tim just had tape and just.
No, the upside of this, and I could clearly hear it. Clearly. One ringing through Rodney's voice, going, bling, 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 like he's been doing on this tape, on this recording now for 3 times. He just started singing. Everybody else joined in with him and went ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. We had to.
We all knew how it went.
Had to save it.
Unfortunately, it was done in a key that was maybe a little too high for Rodney.
That's what I was waiting
So when we came to the key change, it was a little screechy.
It was more like
better.
Yeah, that people loved it. People loved that.
The other end of it is that I forget who I think it was Sam that I'm tripping up with.
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult doing a very physical thing, the slow motion fall like that, while you're desperately trying to hold in laughter. Which for a fat guy is not easy to do.
I mean,
and do something physical.
Literally, it went off okay, but it was a fiasco. That scene was a fiasco.
Yeah, but the thing of it was so funny. We went ahead and did it like that for the last night.
Yeah, we did that.
Our tape was destroyed anyway, so.
That was so hilarious. Yeah,
It was
so
one of those things is an accident that made it better.
Yeah, so that's my recollection.
That's the life lesson. Have accidents because one of them is going to be better. A few of them are going to be car wrecks, but the rest of them are going to be better.
You never know. That was part of what I remember of those 2 productions.